exciting edition of American Warrior Radio, the place to be for news, notes, interviews, and current events for all issues military and veteran related. If you or someone you know has ever worn the uniform of the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, or National Guard or Reserves, you've come to the right place. American Warrior Radio, right here on the Talk to Me station, AM 1060 WMEL, and online at 1060WMEL.com, sponsored by AVET Project. Folks, this program is all about supporting our troops and their families, both past and present, so please get comfortable, grab a cup of coffee and a pencil and paper to jot down a note or two, because we're always efforting to bring you important information that you can use and share with others. With that said, let's roll down the runway and get this show off the ground. You know me, I'm Glenn McGuffey. Garen is on assignment today over at the Lake Nona VA Medical Center, and hopefully he's going to chime in soon with a report from his interview with VA Undersecretary for Health, Dr. David Shulkin. Meanwhile, sitting in for Garen during the entire episode is none other than Dr. Scott Fairchild. Good morning, Doc.
Hey, top of the morning to you, and it's great to be here today. We're enjoying our opportunity to enjoy this beautiful weather and also to get some information out to our veterans and their families. What a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, good weather for you is too cold for me, but all right. And give them a quick background on you. You're retired from the Army?
I was on active duty with the Army for about 21 years and worked as a medical service corps officer, company commander, and did all those things for a while, about 10 years, and then transitioned into psychology, able to help out our veterans with some of the struggles that they deal with after combat, to include PTSD and some of the others. Worked as an aviation psychologist and a variety of other things. Really enjoyed my time, and now I get the opportunity to serve other veterans, even though I don't wear the uniform any longer.
All right. And where is your office locally?
We are located at Baytree Behavioral Health in Melbourne, Florida, and our number there is 321-253-8887. We have an opportunity to support veterans through individual therapy. We help them with their disability claims and questionnaires. And in addition, we have a lot of groups going on for spouses of veterans, for veterans themselves, and some other things that we do, all in the support of those who have given so much for us.
Yeah, and they do a wonderful job. The doc's a real expert in the world of psychology as it affects veterans and their families, and he's a great friend of mine and Garen's, and everybody who's listening in, you're in for a treat. Okay, Doc, we got a lot to talk about today, so let's get started by mentioning the VA's budget has been proposed by President Obama. $182 billion, that's with a B, $182 billion. It covers a lot of ground, but here are some of the highlights. There's $103 billion for mandatory benefit programs such as disability compensation and pension through the Veterans Benefits Administration, and if I can find my note, it should actually be much larger if all eligible veterans who sustained a chronic injury or illness while on active duty were to file a claim. And boy, is that true. Because I get people who have been out of the military for 20 some odd years, and finally they convince themselves to come see me and file a claim. And sometimes that makes it a little more difficult because of proving that it's been a chronic illness that's continued since they got off of active duty. But we press on with it anyway and are very successful with many of the claims. Now, some of this new budget will go towards improving efficiency of claims processing, including $143 million for information technology, and boy is that overdue. They're working with an antiquated system right now. $73 million to help the Veterans Benefits Administration implement electronic claim processing, which I personally am a little unsettled about. I don't advise my people to use what exists now through e-benefits to file a claim. It doesn't seem to be working like it should right now. I hope this will bring it up to speed and make it workable, because it will be a lot faster if you can do it electronically. And 143 million for the new Veterans Claims Intake Program, which essentially converts paper records such as your service medical records to digital format. And then there's the healthcare side of the budget. And how about share a little bit of that with us, Doc?
Well, that's an exciting place to begin, and we're talking about 68.6 billion. Again, those are numbers that I don't know. I'm not sure that I can even count the zeros there. But one point I want to make that Glenn was talking about here is, these are claims, these are entitlements, these are things that you as veterans have earned. So often I find veterans who come in and say, I really don't want to file a claim. I just went over, I did my job, and I came back. I didn't lose a limb, and I don't think I have a valid claim, even though I have a hard time walking because of the arthritis in my leg from the parachute jump, or I have post-traumatic stress disorder. And I encourage each and every person, these are entitlements. You're not taking money away from somebody who lost a limb, this money was set aside specifically to take care of you, because during your time of service, you took care of our nation, and we now want to take care of you. So I encourage you to stop in to see your psychologist or your primary care doctor, and think about filing a medical claim if you have issues that are related to your military service. Now, the healthcare budget, that 68 billion that's been set aside, actually services over 922,000 veterans who served during a variety of operations, to include Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, New Dawn, and Operation Freedom Sentinel. That money is going to be spent for a variety of different things, to provide care in the community, to provide for long-term care. We often forget those veterans that are in our veteran facilities for older individuals. That long-term care is provided as well. We used to call them the VA homes. But we also set that money aside for taking care of mental health, and that's a huge area that needs a lot of attention. And there is money set aside to attempt to eliminate homelessness. Now, here in our local community, George Taylor and the group have provided, in conjunction with the VA, have provided a lot of support to reducing the number of homeless here in the county of Brevard, from about 1,400 down to less than 200 homeless in the county, which is a monumental feat that's been accomplished. We also see that there's been 1.5 billion set aside for hepatitis C treatments, and up until a couple years ago, we didn't have anything we could do to treat hepatitis C. I now have 5 patients who've gone through the treatment, and they are literally hepatitis C free. Some of them picked it up from tattoos and things, and that money was carved out by Congress separate and apart from the VA budget to take care of that. So we've got money going to caregivers and specialty programs where spouses and friends of veterans actually provide their care to reduce the toll on the inpatient VA facilities. And also there's money going to spinal cord injuries and also traumatic brain injuries, Glenn. So you can see that money spreads thin, and it has a lot of things to take care of.
Yeah, I see that the President's budget ensures that care and other benefits are available to veterans when and where they need them. Maybe not true nationwide. There's some places I know like Montana and parts of Wyoming and those places where based on the veterans' head count, they establish community-based outpatient clinics and hospitals, and those don't always meet the needs of everyone in those low population areas, but they do have VA healthcare available, and under the new program for the care card, they should be able to get, after a visit to the VA healthcare system and enrollment, if they're a long ways away from the nearest VA healthcare facility, they should be able to get some authorization to get healthcare in the community where they do live. That program is still in its early infancy, and we hope it gets to be better. We've talked about it on previous shows. It's not 100% effective right now, and I think it's going to take a push on the VA's management to get the people trained up to know how to use that program and use the program, because even Garen had a big problem initially with they authorized it, and then trying to get the authorization from the national number didn't come about like it should have. So within all of that, they've got money spread all over the place for health care, as Garen mentioned, and they're going to set aside $836 million for the activation of new and enhanced healthcare facilities. A lot of those, I suspect, are like their community-based outpatient clinics in a lot of places where they contract with a local doctor and maybe a nurse, and depending on the demand there, maybe a minimal pharmacy, and $900 million for major and minor construction projects, including funding for seismic corrections. So that must be a big problem. I never knew they needed a whole lot of money for seismic corrections. That sounds like a California deal to me.
There's an earthquake wherever you go.
Yeah.
You know, and what does this, and you say, what does this mean for our individual veterans, all this money being set aside? I just want to encourage each and every veteran out there and their family members to get a checkup. Get a checkup. We go through life, and it's so important, whether you served in Iraq or Afghanistan or Vietnam or Korea or World War II, your body takes the toll. And as your body takes the toll, you need to get it checked up. In fact, I could write the medical portion of most veterans' claims because when you're under stress for long periods of time, it takes its toll on your body. So I always tell our veterans in group, make sure you're not excited about getting those colon exams and all those other types of exams, the procto exams and the like. But it's so important to go in and be checked. It is so very important. And in fact, just the other day, yesterday actually, one of our friends who came back from his mother's funeral to his exam, to his colonoscopy exam, and out of that colonoscopy exam at a young age, he all of a sudden found out that he had colorectal cancer.
Oh, wow.
And that it had spread to his lymph nodes and spread to his liver. And so yesterday, he had surgery at the VA in Miami, and they removed a section of his colon that was cancerous, and they even got the lobe of his liver that was cancerous and removed it. He will go through heavy radiation, and hopefully will return to like new conditions. So it's so important. I can't overemphasize getting out there, getting checked, especially when you've got your body's been stressed. Getting out there and getting checked.
You bet. And I know some friends who were over 50, and that's when they start doing, would like to start doing anyway, colonoscopies to find out if you've got any serious problems in your colon. And they went in, and similar to your example there, they found that they had colorectal cancer and got that done. Well, at the same time, I've had some clients, some veterans who came in to see me for help, and they said they found it too late where they couldn't operate on it. It had gone too far and metastasized, moved to other parts of the body, and they said, please get the word out to every veteran that they need to get those checks. And you don't have to be over 50, but that's when the medical people start wanting to test you. And then from the first test, they determine how many times, do you have to come back next year? Do you come back 5 years from now? Whatever your case may be. They said it was the most horrible pain they'd ever been in their life. So you're doing yourself a big favor, because colorectal cancer can be pretty much caught if it's caught soon enough, and they take out the polyps and stop it from spreading, because like the doc was saying, it can metastasize, move to all parts of the body, and I guess in your example, it went to part of the liver and
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct, and so it's important to get those checks. Now, another thing, if you have a history in your family of cancer, you don't have to wait till you're 50 to be checked. It's actually, we have some young teens of adults who have colorectal cancer already being checked when they're teens, just to make sure, because it does tend to follow family lines. In addition to that, let's not forget about a very important part of your body, and that's your heart. So often we see guys in our group who want to be the tough guys and say, oh, wow, I just got a little chest pain while cutting the lawn. It's not a big deal. Again, I encourage each and every one of you to get the treadmill tests. Your body's been stressed in a combat environment. Go out there and get that treadmill test. Go out there and get the high-speed CAT scans of the heart. If necessary, go out and get the heart catheterizations. We've had 3 people in one of our groups, 3 men in one of our groups, that basically their lives have been saved by that. One was 99% blocked in the left anterior descending coronary artery, which, guess what? We in the profession refer to the left anterior descending coronary artery as the widowmaker. Yeah. So you can get those checks. You go run the treadmill. It's going to tell your heart's condition. You run down and have your car checked and the engine checked from time to time and the oil changed. So back when I was on active duty as a personnel officer, I had a large picture in my office of Uncle Sam, the one where he points directly at you. And in my personnel office, that picture pointed at you, and we had a sign above it that said, your personnel records are your responsibility. We just maintain them. Now, your medical health and mental health, actually, is the same thing. It is your responsibility. The medical doctors and community just maintains it. They aren't going to be able to maintain it if you don't get your checkups and if you don't tell them what's going on.
Oh, absolutely. And while we're still on the budget topic here, other key services included in that budget are $286 million to administer the VA systems of 134 national cemeteries throughout our great nation. And of course, we got a brand new one up in the MEMS area, just opened up here a couple months ago, and they are accepting funerals and burials there now. Let me remind everybody, you can't make a reservation in advance. You have to unfortunately die before you can use the National Cemetery. And so make sure you leave it in your will or with somebody you trust to know that you want to be buried in a National Cemetery. And a reminder also that your dependents, that it's your spouse and minor children, also can be buried in a National Cemetery, even if they predecease you. So. Then the others is $4.3 billion for information technology, which is, as I said earlier, really overdue. They're working with an antiquated system, and improvements there may lead to the day that my confidence is restored in using an electronic claims system.
That will be a nice day.
Yeah.
I was impressed. Social Security Administration has actually upgraded their system a number of years ago.
Yeah.
And if we have active duty combat veterans, a lot of veterans don't know this, but if we have an active duty combat veteran, we can ask Social Security to expedite their claims. And I have seen Social Security disability claims resolved completely within 5 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if the VA could get to that level, resolving their claims in 5 weeks, I think we'd have a lot of happy campers.
Yeah, and again, that's for veterans only that they have this expedited system. So if you're not a veteran and you're contemplating Social Security disability claim, you need to know that doesn't apply to you, unfortunately.
Right. You'll kind of wait in line with the rest of us folks. But yeah, it is good to know, and a lot of times you have to state that and request that expediting process. So that's something for you to know when you visit your Social Security for your disability payments.
So we've got a healthy increase in the VA budget, 4.9% from what it was in 2015. We've kind of covered the highlights of some of the things that it affects. An increase in the veterans budget is always required. The cost of medical care, as most people probably know, continues to rise every year, and hopefully this will make a big dent in helping improve care for veterans. And I know they're hiring like 300 extra clinicians and doctors within this budget. So let's hope that it does what it can do in terms of improving care for our veterans.
We do know that the VA budget over the past 4 years has increased by 43.5%. Now that's a large number. If you think of it in rounding terms, that's almost doubled the VA budget over the last 4 years. And you have to remember it in relative terms, because other federal organizations have been at a stalemate. They've been locked in, and in fact, a lot of them have lost about 10% of their budget over the budget stalemate that's been going on for the last year. So relatively speaking, the VA has rocketed forward, and this administration and Congress has given them the money they need to get the job done. So we keep the pressure on them to do the job of taking care of our veterans.
You bet. And I was at a meeting. I'm on a board with Congressman Posey of local veterans to find out what our thoughts are and what the needs are of our community of veterans recently. And he said Congress is really frustrated right now with the VA, unfortunately, because they've given them all these increases the doc was talking about, and they haven't got any better. In fact, those increases seem to have resulted in finding more problems than they have in making things better. But, an increased budget again should help, and I think there's some things going on that indicate to me the VA is cleaning house, if you will, where necessary. So I know Garen's over in Orlando at the VA Medical Center, and I was hoping he'd call in on the first half, but he hasn't had a chance. So that's okay. He may be able, if he calls in, we may be able to get some update from the Undersecretary of Health with him. So now, real quick, the VA is increasing staff and increasing their IT capability, information technology, for the crisis line. And we'll remind you of it again, but if you got that pencil and paper handy like we asked you, you can call 1-800-273-8255, press 1 for Veterans Assistance. And they have saved thousands and thousands of lives of veterans in crisis who they were contacted by the veteran, or they were contacted by a family member. And so, we're coming to the end of the first half. Boy, does time fly. Stick around with us, and we'll be right back on American Warrior Radio.